I got custody. I use that hashtag. I'm about the only one in the world that uses that hashtag. Forgive me while I'm just adjusting this and trying to get it right. I'm the only one who uses that hashtag because I actually got full custody of my daughter without an attorney when she was 7 months old. And everybody's out here using hashtags like help for fathers, fathers are people too, and all this other stuff. In my hashtag, I'm using that because it's letting people know right from the beginning what my story is. My story starts with me getting custody. Well, I didn't get it right away, but I went to war and got custody. And the whole theme of my page is talking to people and teaching them and sharing with them all the ins and outs of how I got full custody without an attorney when my daughter was 7 months old. And, you know, I've seen all the dirtiest tricks that are out there. I opposed the worst attorney, the craziest attorney, the most psychopathic, sociopathic attorney I've ever seen was Donald Wayne Farrell, and I opposed him. Attorneys in Seattle were scared of him. I know a lot of you guys say that, well, I got the craziest attorney you've ever seen. I've seen it all. And I've never seen anybody like this dude. Now, the first attorney my baby's mom had, he was just an average attorney. I was scared of him at first because I was traumatized at the beginning of my case. But he ended up being a pushover. Knowing what I know now, he was a cakewalk. I didn't know that then. And I was learning on the fly as I went. Because when I first went to court, restraining order attempt, then went to court to establish paternity, I filed the wrong case. I was already on the birth certificate. I followed the legal advice from a clerk like an idiot. I didn't know what, It's one thing to do stuff out of ignorance. It's another thing to not keep trying for answers and being dumb and making dumb moves without looking for answers. But, I had to jump through a bunch of hoops and learn the hard way and make errors in order to learn what I learned. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump to another screen. I was just trying to control the community here. Anyway, I'm kind of eating my first meal of the day, so I might have to jump in and take some bites of food here. But, so let's get to what I want to talk about. Enough about me winning over and over in court. I show you my winning orders. In the link below is my flow page. You can see my custody order, my win on contempt, 2 wins in the Court of Appeals. One of them's on Justia when my daughter was 11 years old. I've had guys say, oh, well, if you got custody of your daughter, show us pictures you have of her later on. Those are just pictures you playing with her on your visits when she was a baby. I show you guys a winning reversal in the Court of Appeals. I show you my winning court order in 2001. In 2012, I show you my win in the Court of Appeals, and it says I'm the recipient of child support. Child support was an issue on the Court of Appeals. And so obviously my daughter is about 11 years old, 11, 12 years old, and she's with me. So I don't need to show pictures to all the pedophiles like, what's that money dude's name? Real Money Wealth or something like that. And he has a bunch of fake pictures of fake websites and stuff like that. But I show you my winning orders. Got a whole bunch of free links in my flow page, a whole bunch of free information. And 90% of dads won't use it. Because they just don't care. They don't have a sense of urgency. They're not wanting to fight. They're not anxious to fight and go to war for their kids. All kinds of crazy reasons like that. Now it's just, as a dad who knew nothing about family court, I was blindsided and betrayed like a lot of you guys. I'm where exactly I've been where you guys are now. That's what's different about me compared to other father's rights advocates and other attorneys. I've been where you are, and I got on the offensive immediately because I was desperate for answers, and I was lost, and I looked and looked and looked, and I wasn't going to stop. And it's a good thing I acted as fast as I could because the mother wanted to move out of state with my kid. If I didn't act as fast as I did, I might have had to move out of state, or my kid would have been somewhere else. I mean, I would have just moved. That was another reason I scared the mother, because she was thinking about moving. The guardian ad litem told me that. She's like, what do you think about that? I said, if my kid's moving, then I'm moving. I'm going to be in my kid's life. And so the mother knew that. So she wanted no part of that. And then I wore her down with the war of attrition until she surrendered, like the cowardly psycho bitch that she is. So anyway, I can go on and on about my case. Let's get to the issue. I should probably timestamp this if it lasts a long time. Look down below if you're looking for a topic. I might try and break this up in topics and timestamp it later on. But sorry, I'm eating first meal of the day at 10 o'clock at night. Some of you may know because I talked about it once or twice. I'm doing caretaking work for my elderly mother, and been doing that for about a year. And I'm the co-guardian of my sister with Down syndrome. So, because my mother's health is failing, I'm basically the guardian of her. And then I got duties here, and then I got other responsibilities I'm dealing with. I'm working with the one attorney that I like in Washington State, and partnering with her, helping some dads if they really, really want an attorney to actually work with a good one. In 25 years of doing this, I've liked this many attorneys. I can count on one hand the number of attorneys I like after seeing 25,000 different cases. Now, some of those cases, and most of them are in Washington, because early on I was mostly doing Washington, even though people found me from around the world. As soon as I got on the internet, about 2008, I was getting calls from Australia, Europe, Canada, every state. That's why guys just say, oh, I wish I would have found you half a year ago, 5 years ago. You didn't look, because you could have found me. You didn't look hard enough for real help. And that's another reason why I'm an excuse wrecker. I'm an excuse breaker, because when I was lost, the first set of attorneys that told me no, or you're not going to win, you're going to be every other weekend dad, I followed my conscience. I said, screw that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to be more involved. And then, by the way, you guys can feel free to ask a question if you have one. And then I searched like a couple different fathers' rights groups. I went to a fathers' rights meeting from Dads Against Discrimination, dadsamerica.org. And that was the first dad. It's kind of like a lot of you guys think when you see my videos, oh my God, this guy's talking real talk. He's talking genuine. He's talking about fathers getting custody. He's talking about stuff that resonates with me. I have to talk to him. And I walked up to him after the meeting and scheduled a consult and paid for it. There was no questions. I didn't want to argue with him or fight or say, how can you charge your time? He just gave me free information for about an hour. And every other guy, and right from the beginning, I saw how it is. Every other dad in that free meeting went to that free meeting, and all they did was whine, cry, piss, and moan like a bunch of bitches. I was the only one from that meeting that scheduled an appointment with Bob Carlos from Dads Against Discrimination, or Dads of Washington. And if you look now, dadsamerica.org, the website's gone because they fizzled out. But Bob Carlos was 60 then when he was helping me. As soon as I saw any kind of answer, any semblance of an answer, I jumped all over it. That's why I don't understand when guys aren't desperate to find answers. They're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, then learn how to do it. This is scary. Well, grow some balls and fight anyway. What man says, oh, this part of my life is challenging or it's hard or it sucks, I'm going to quit at it? In every area of life, we encourage men to be men, be courageous. All of these men advocates or red pill guys are telling men, life of a man is hard, do it anyway. We talk about putting up a fight, being a man, getting in shape, going out there and building your little kingdom, building your business, all kinds of stuff like that. They're saying, be a man. Why can't you do that with your kids? Because we have this Jezebel mentality and this Jezebel curse and control over America that dads give into. Oh my God, the woman has a child. I'm scared like a little bitch. I've seen guys, I've had guys in my office, 6'6", 6'5", 260, 80 pounds, 300 pounds. I'm just kind of scared of my baby's mom. Scared of what? Some drama? You're willing to fight any guy that disrespects you. And you never know what could happen in a fight. Somebody might fight dirty. They'll pull out that tool and you think it's just going to be a fist fight or whatever. You're willing to risk your life because a guy disrespects you, but you won't devote your life for 6 months or a year that it takes to fight for your kid and even give it a try. That leads into what I'm saying here. On Facebook, I just posted a video, another one of these punk ass bitch dads. And he's up there saying, you can go on my Facebook, type in how I got custody on Facebook. It's actually the username where you have the @ or whatever, or the on Facebook / and they have your name of your page. You type in how I got custody running together 2, the number 2. I still have a page. My personal Facebook page got banned, and my extended page that I added to that was connected, my father's rights page there, is still up, even though my personal got banned. I don't get it. But how I got custody 2 is the current one that I'm posting on. But this guy is saying, you guys, you're not going to like this advice. And he's basically telling guys, don't be a pussy, don't be a coward, but quit on your kids and walk away and pretend that you don't care about your kid. It's going to suck. It's going to be hard. You'll be thinking about your kids, but just pretend you don't care. And those kids will come back around. And there are people in the comments, there's like 900 comments. There are a couple people in the comments that said, I did that to my baby's mom, and the kid came around, you know, when she woke up at age 7 or 10, and she gave the mom hell, and the mom let me see the kid. One of the people in the comments said, yeah, this guy, what he's saying is true. Listen to him. My brother had a daughter, and the daughter came around at age 17, but she was pregnant, but she came around. Stupid airheaded bitch. The teenager was pregnant because she's effed up in the head. Now, stuff happens, people make mistakes, but most, teenage pregnancy skyrockets when a father's not in the home. Because there's not a man there to protect, the daughter and block the daughter and protect the daughter from going out with the wrong guy, or he puts standards to the daughter. He makes the daughter, have self-confidence and not want to, and sometimes the girls are searching for love and affection or fatherly affection they didn't get from their dad. And so they put out early or whatever, looking for, and I've talked to women. My daughter, when she went to a private school, she had a counselor. We were talking about some issues she was having in school. And then it came up, our relationship and this and that. She said that she wished her dad was involved or she wouldn't have been as promiscuous when she was younger. So you hear that stuff and people talk about it, but I've seen actual women admit that's why they went out hoeing or promiscuous or whatever. And then in the comments, these guys are like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And again, nobody's even number one, the guy said, instead of paying tens of thousands of dollars for a lawyer to go in there and just end up paying child support anyway, just forget that baby's mom. Again, I've told you guys before, number one, that mother is alienating the children, and alienation is just as traumatic as physical and sexual abuse. So what you're doing when you walk away is you're leaving the child with an alienator, and you're letting the child get abused. If that mom's boyfriend was molesting your kid, would you say, well, that kind of sucks. My kids are getting abused, or physically, or the mom is slapping the kids around. Well, the kids are getting beat up. Let me just walk away, and maybe the kids will wake up one day from their abuse and they'll want to live with me. What? You see how effing retarded that is? My gender is such a bunch of pussies, and they so don't want drama and crazy baby mama conflict that they say, I'll just walk away. Number two, you can't handle the stress of that baby's mom and her narcissistic control of you, but you'll leave children in an environment that you can't handle as an adult? What kind of punk ass bitch move is that? What if you fell overboard, like you and some friends were on a raft somewhere, and then a shark or two came around, and you guys were all in the water waiting. You guys dove in the water. It's super hot, so you dove in, and there are sharks around. I'm like, oh my God, this is shark-infested waters. Let me get in the boat, and let's just drive to shore and leave the kids out here, because I can't risk getting bitten by a shark. I would be too traumatized. You see how insane that is? There's no scenario in life where we will leave our children in a dangerous situation, except with the baby's mom, because we're blind and brainwashed and deceived by this Jezebel curse that's controlling America, and feminism, making you think that women own children and you're a slave to them. And thirdly, as a man, why do you say I need to walk away from this and not fight because it's hard? Again, as I said when I started this part of the talk, what kind of pussy-ass dad says, oh, it's hard, so I'm going to quit doing it? What kind of dad, I don't know, working on an oil rig, you know, throwing crab pots over the side of a boat and crab fishing, you know, working a dirty job like on Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs, doing any hard work. You sludge and grind and do the 9 to 5, even if you hate it, because there's a paycheck and reward in the end of your pain. That's the same thing with family court. But you can't do that because you're tricked into thinking this is something that I shouldn't have to. And then some guy made a comment under the video. He said, why don't you stop running up in all these ratchet hoes, and then get surprised when a ratchet hoe acts ratchet, or ghetto, or, you know, totally conflict riddled, psychotic, child abusing drama queen. Why would you make a baby with them? Stop making a baby with them, problem solved. And that's a great point. And I just saw, but you know, this dude was black, and then most of his audience are black. And you know, the fatherless epidemic is prevalent in the black community, and it was orchestrated by white supremacists pushing for welfare and socialism and stuff like that. And there's some problems with the civil rights movement pushing for stuff like that. And there was an orchestrated, you know, I'm more of a Malcolm X fan than I am Martin Luther King, now that I'm finding out more and more stuff about how that stuff went down. But you can't have like a civil rights act or this type of act or this type of law and fix the hearts of humans. That has to change organically. And now people are looking back and saying, we really forced integration too hard before people were ready for it. Like, black folks were doing really well then. So how come 80% of black families were intact? Often they had more structure in the black family than they did in the white families. And then now we're saying the core of the community, black community, that's suffering, one of the biggest problems is the broken families. How did that even start? Because they dangled government cheese to black women and said, push the father out, we'll give you this. And because women have this independent streak, women period, no matter what race, they have this independent streak where I want to be in control. The queen wants to take over the king's kingdom. A woman wants to rule over the man. It's the curse of Eve, if you're a believer. You know, women just want to nag, raise up, be domineering, control a man. It's in their nature. So when it comes to kids, they want to control the kids. And then the kids are a ticket for provision. Like, women have a righteous reason to want to be provided for because they're a helpmate. They're not the leader. They're not the provider. They're not the protector. But then they see the kids, and that natural desire gets perverted into wanting just to be taken care of, using the kids as a tool for that. And then there's guys out there, like one of the commenters said, you're going out there desperate and thirsty for sex. Only an effeminate man doesn't know how to control himself. It is a feminine thing. I've seen plenty of leaders talk about this, like people in prison, people in jail, like those guys act like they're tough. They're not tough. They're pussy ass bitches with their emotions, because their emotions cause them to act out in a rage or in a criminal manner. Just like when a woman goes crazy and gets wild and gets violent, because she can't control her emotions and be a mature adult. And these dudes are so thirsty for some tail, or they'll screw anything that walks, and then they're surprised that they have crazy sex with a crazy hoe. Like, oh my God, she's acting crazy and not responsible as a parent. And there's a small percentage of folks making kids with multiple women. So those in reverse, like Kevin Samuels talked about it. He just often focused on the black community, but there's a small group of men making all these out of wedlock babies. Like, women are sharing the same man, because these guys got 3, 4, 5, 8 babies, moms. And I just watched a video about that. So there's a responsibility with men. Now, you fall in love, you get with somebody, you think you're going to make a family. That's one thing. And then you get bamboozled and tricked by her. She had it planned all along. I worked with a coworker one time. She said she's going to get a divorce one day, but she has to wait till her husband's fully vested in his retirement. Like, she was plotting it out. I got to wait 7 more years. I'm like, really? Really? But we keep making kids with crazy women because we worship sex more than we have discipline or the balls to be a real man and make a family the right way. Whether you're a God believer or not, it's God's structure. Let's just say you just believe it's nature. Nature's structure is set up for family and a certain order. And all the science says the best home is a loving father or husband, wife, intact home where everybody loves and respects one another. Now, that's an ideal. Even intact family homes, they're not always reaching that. But the structure of the home and fatherly affirmation and fatherly protection gives kids the best chance. Obviously, the statistics show it. So why the hell would your dumbass bring kids into the world if you had a love for kids and give them the worst possible scenario? A broken family, having a mom that's crazy. Get burned once, that's understandable. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I will never get fooled a second time. But some low IQ, low energy, unevolved, airheaded, dumbass mother effers, especially men who grew up with women and are feminine in their emotions and don't have discipline like a real man and can't control themselves. That's what's creating this. And then when you get there, then these guys, so I think I ran off like 3 points, but they were like, okay, the kids are going to come back around. You leave them with the child abuser, they will get brainwashed 90% of the time, and they will hate you. If they come around when they're 17, 20, 25, 30, why would you say that's cool? Because you're a lazy ass bitch. Why would you say that's cool that I'm going to let my kids suffer for the vast majority of their developing years, and then when they're adult, they'll come around, and it'll be wonderful after that? If you could do that deferred gratification where you suffer now without the kids, and then you hope they come around, why can't you do that now in a family court case? Why can't you go and suffer for a year in a family court case and get a victory at the end of your custody battle? And actually, half of you, if you get off your ass and you get on the offensive, you will get the mother to surrender half the time. 3 months down the road, 5 months, 7 months. Sometimes I've had cases as soon as the dad filed paperwork, the mother was ready to settle a few weeks later. But you guys won't even try that. You will try every mother effing stupid strategy from these dumbass attorneys, other than the stuff that I've told you over and over and over and over that works. Why? Because it's inconvenient. It's uncomfortable. So if you're not laying back, drinking some brews in your lazy boy recliner, watching TV, anything outside of that is too hard for you to do. Like spend some time in your court papers, learning the law, getting on the offensive in court, saying something bad about the mother. I talked to some guy tonight. He's about to talk to a couple of attorneys, and he's like, well, I don't want to go there and I don't want to get ugly. And the more he talked about his baby's mom, the more she's trying to take the kids away from him, harm the kids, damage the kids, turn their life upside down, screw the empire that he built, or the little kingdom that he built. I said, dude, the more that you talk, the more you're saying she's a child abuser and alienator. He said our toxic relationship. He partially wants to reconcile. He's like, I can't talk bad about my wife. Okay. Try and salvage your wife or your relationship or hope to reconcile. Or if all you're saying is, I can't talk bad about my wife, that doesn't sit right with my conscience. So she's betraying you and ready to abuse your kids, and you can't talk bad about her. Okay, that's a losing strategy. So then you lose the kids, and maybe the wife will never reconcile. You lose the wife. What good did it do to respect and honor her and not blaspheme her? How about you go fight for the kid she's trying to take from you and take across the country or destroy your relationship, and go rescue your kids and keep your kids. And then if the mother was really wanting to reconcile or fix it and she's just being toxic for now, then that can happen. But if it doesn't happen, then you know that she's going to betray you anyway. So why wouldn't you rescue the kids? A wife or a girlfriend is not a permanent relationship. It can be broken and severed. You will always be the father of your kids. Even if a kid gets emancipated or there's an adoption, you are always the biological father of those kids. You know, after an adoption or after a kid's in foster care, they go looking for their parents after they're age 18. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with the alienated kids. They will go and be brainwashed. But the ones who are just adopted, and they're just like, okay, you're adopted, and they never have to talk about the parent. I don't know your parents. They will go look for them because they yearn for that. If someone declares war, and this guy I was talking to was military, and I was giving him the war analogy, and he's like, yeah, I know. I don't know if I want to hear this, or he's kind of like, I don't know if I could do that. He goes, I'm hearing everything you're saying. I don't know where his mindset was, because he was kind of antagonistic about everything I was saying, but then he acknowledged everything I said was true. Then we move on to the next step. He's antagonizing, or he's combative about it. And then later he says I was right about that. You guys just don't want to do it. You just wish everything would work out okay. You're in your emotional feelings. You got to set aside your feelings are there. Like, I was wishing my baby's mom was a civil co-parent. We had a great plan. We were going to do a 50-50 plan. You know, we were part of a church community where there was some kind of like accountability with one another and stuff like that. And then there was a controversy in the church, and it split up, and then all the fake phonies showed their true colors, including my baby's mom and her two sisters. One of her sisters used to be kind of a leader, and she'd preach, you know, different stuff and little small Bible studies and stuff like that. But then she turned into a wicked, evil Jezebel demon immediately because they were free of any accountability. And so I had to go to war against them. You said I should not be around my kid. And people testified, even a roommate of mine said James should not be responsible for a kid. They declared war on me. And I'm going to sit back and let that happen or walk away or be a pussy ass bitch? Screw that. I lost a bunch of friends and all that stuff, but I gained my daughter. Who cares about anybody else or anything else? How can you actually care about your own feelings and call yourself a man? Do people in the military say that? Do people on a football field say that? When you played high school football, when it didn't matter in the end, you were never playing for a Super Bowl. Even if you played college and they didn't have the national championship, if you didn't play for a national championship, you still had to be unselfish, be part of a team. Let your fears aside or put your body on the line. We learn to be unselfish in like every area of life. And then when it's time to rescue our kids, we'll do it against a neighbor, against a kidnapper, somebody who touches our kid. You know that one pastor, he's going viral right now. Pastor Tony something, I think it is. You know, some guy was taunting him and said next time he goes out of town, he's going to rape his wife and kids and take them all out. The guy was taunting him and stuff, and I guess he's part of this generation of, oh, I'm going to protest and taunt people, and they can't touch me because it's free speech. He walked across the street and started pounding the guy and busting him upside the head. The guy was talking so much crap, and he turned out to be, and the pastor was built smaller than the dude. But that dude was, and I'm not going to let you come out here and taunt my family like that. We're taught to go to war and be a man in all kinds of areas of life. And then some of the biggest tough guys, you know what they'll do? I've had people just, and I'm not even talking to anybody directly. Guys will come on my page. How dare you say guys are cowards or sissies, that you don't know what I've been through and this and that, blah, blah. Okay, so why don't you learn how to go to war? You just came across the best page you ever come across to learn how to do this stuff. Why don't you go to war? You mother effer, you don't know. You wouldn't say that to my face. So you'll go to war with me because I said something that hurt your feelings, that you didn't fight the right way. And then when I go down through, did you do this? Did you get on the offensive? You call the mother out. Oh, I went for 50-50. That's a losing strategy. Did you do a deposition? Did you grill the crap out of the mother? You get on the offensive. You call out for alienation. Did you use the science? Did you use this? No. You didn't even try to fight then. You fought wrong. And then they get more enraged. And they want to fight, and they want to say, come to New Jersey, and I'm on the West Coast. Come to New Jersey, or come to Florida, and I'll show you blah, blah, blah. So your little diva ass, your little gay stalker ass wants me to come over and find you and meet up with you. But they'll talk shit like that, but they never talk shit to their baby. I didn't take their kids from them. I'm up here telling people how to fight. And it starts with being humble and realizing I did it wrong. Let me go and do it right. And they don't like that because a faggot pussy ass bitch will get easily offended in their feelings. But they're ready to go to war with me. And I'm the one I would be their number one advocate. And I have a proven track record to help people win. They'll go to war with the guy that can help them, but they will not go to war with their baby's mom. There are some effed up, dumbass mother effers out there. And they got it all backwards. And it's the majority. And that's why videos like this guy on Facebook that I just posted, where he says, just walk away and pretend you don't care about that baby's mom. Yeah, some of them, like women, are backwards. They'll play games. They'll run away from you. They'll let you play chase. If you like a girl in high school, she'll act like she doesn't like you and she wants you to chase her and stuff like that. And the more you act like you care, the more she thinks you're a simp, and she'll play games. But then when you act like you don't care, or you walk away, or you get another girlfriend, or you get another woman, then suddenly they care. So women play those games. So some of these women, if you do that, that will work. But do you want to roll the dice when the majority of the time a kid is going to get alienated and brainwashed and then end up hating you? You want to run that risk? Now it's getting, it's frustrating and enraging. Now it's just disgusting. My gender is such a group of effed up, low-life scum of a bunch of pussy-ass bitches. And they're out there preaching. They're out there preaching now. Instead of fighting, let's just walk away and not do anything. If you can walk away from your kids, why couldn't you walk away from that coochie with that crazy woman when you knew she was crazy? You dumbass low IQ mother effer. Most of these guys are just lazy. They easily had a kid because they were turned on, horny, they needed some, so they went out and got some, so they think they should easily be able to have custody of their kids. You dance with the devil and you're like, I'm surprised this devil isn't acting like an angel. You dumbass low IQ mother effing. If you go walking down a certain street that you know you shouldn't be on, that's a dangerous street, or it's drug infested or gang infested or a mafia family owns that block, you know this, I shouldn't go down here, and you just go, oh, I have a constitutional right to just go down here wherever I want. I can't believe that gang member beat me up, or that drug dealer warned me not to come around again, or that mafia guy slapped me upside the head and said I'll be dead if I walk over there. You know, that's the real world is what it is. And guys will go mess with a crazy woman. I can't believe that crazy woman is acting crazy now. Like, it's just disgusting. The grown men with the mentality and IQ of a 4-year-old. Okay, let me answer some questions. Sorry. How do you get rid of child support? You don't. Somebody asked, how do you get rid of child support? You don't get rid of child support. Somebody is always going to pay child support unless you're in one of those states when you get 50-50, neither parent pays child support. So the number one answer how you get rid of child support is to go for full custody. I never paid child support even when the mother had custody. I was so busy fighting her that she forgot to even ask for child support. So when we got the final order in place, I agreed to suspend child support for 7 months because I didn't pay the first 7 months. Now, maybe you've seen people like TJ Tillman, I forget his first name, but child support is fraud, and all these mother effing punk ass bitch hustlers like that asshole. Oh, you could fight child support. You could do this and make it go away if you're improperly served. Well, let me talk about this for a second. Service on child support. Yeah, if you weren't properly served, you didn't have a due process right to be fully heard and have a full hearing. That's in the Constitution. But guess what? A lot of states have made up laws and case law that says as long as they attempted to mail you at your last known address, that's considered proper service. So they're lying to you. Like my own state, Washington State, is like that. They send certified mail to somebody's last known address. Even if the mail comes back rejected, it's considered served because it's last known, because there's this culture. Remember, you're dealing with the culture of the court, which is a mentality that makes them think a certain way, and they think that more than they follow the law. In the Jim Crow South, black folks had the same rights on paper as white folks, but the culture of the court, the racism of the Jim Crow South said, I'm going to get this black dude. He's going to fry. He's going to get the electric chair. I hate black folks. We got to eliminate them. You know, the judge might be in the Klan, and he makes sure that he doesn't have a fair hearing. Not that he didn't have a right to it, but the culture of the court contributed to that. So, there's a culture with the court that says, oh, we can violate men's due process rights in administrative hearing. Now, there's the courthouse where they throw people in jail, and the jail is right next to the courthouse. And there's administrative courts, which are created by the executive branch of the government. You have an administrative law judge. It's not a real courthouse. When you go to administrative courts, they only do child support. They don't do parenting plans because they don't care about that, because they're in there to make money. Administrative law judge will do an appeal on unemployment or getting laid off or not getting certain benefits, Social Security. They'll have a dispute there. And the administrative law judges, the big businesses or government, always win because they're all buddies and go to the same wife swapping orgies and cocaine parties. Okay. But the administrative law judge, you could just walk into court. Yeah. If this guy said, how do I get rid of my child support? If you have a child support hearing with one of these administrative law judges, you can say you're not a real court. So the guys that say this stuff, this kind of sovereign nation type of thing, you're not a real court. or the ones who challenge jurisdiction. They don't really have jurisdiction over you because they're not judges who were voted in by we the people. They were appointed by the executive branch, the attorney general, the governors oversee the executive branch. DSHS, CPS, all those entities, Office of Administrative Courts, OACs. That's an administrative court, and they can order child support, but if you challenge it right, they shouldn't be able to order it and say, you're not a real court, you weren't judges voted in by we the people, you don't have any constitutional authority over me, so you can't order child support, so don't do it. So you can make child support go away then, but that's only the administrative side. There's the administrative courthouse that's usually in the office building, then there's the courts that are at the courthouse. If you go to family court or have a divorce or a parentage case, they will order child support there. That's a court order. Those are judges that we voted in. Now, the voting is rigged. The voting is totally rigged for judges, and a lot of judges are appointed by the governor, and they set that up. Judges retire outside of voting season. The judge appoints them. The governor appoints them and gives them a spot of a judge who died or retired. They don't retire around voting season because then a bunch of people will run for that office. The governor appoints somebody, and then when it's time to vote them in and they go up for election, nobody runs against them. So they're appointed by the governor is running a tyranny or a dictatorship. Because we the people didn't vote those judges in, and people don't care enough to be informed, and the vast majority of people are sheep. Society, a bunch of pussy-ass bitch mother effers who give in to peer pressure. Just look at what we're talking about. Just look at what we talk about with family court. Judges, you're afraid the judge is going to do this, the guardian lion is going to do that. You can't talk bad about the mother because people just tell you not to do that. Even though the law says if the mother is mentally ill, if the mother is suicidal, if the mother's on drugs, she shouldn't have custody. The law says that, but your attorney or other people say that you should not say anything bad. So you're dealing with the culture of the court and the peer pressure. It's almost like it's middle school. It's like these dudes are so like when Goldberg and Jones told me my first call looking for help. Oh, father's rights attorney's in the phone book. Bam. I need help trying to get 50-50. I live 3 blocks from the mother. We're close by. I work at night. Oh, you'll probably get every weekend. I said, wait a minute. I should be the person who watches my kid when the mother goes to work. I should at least see her 5 days a week. And then I can have you'll probably still get every other weekend. Click. Because I followed my conscience. And I didn't know anything about family court. I didn't have to know because I wasn't a pussy ass bitch in my mind and my heart. I wasn't going to quit on my kid because some stupid ass stranger over the phone told me so. The vast majority of pussy ass bitches out there will call an attorney and they say, oh, you're in a situation, you live 3 blocks from the mom. And the law says one of the factors is the geographical location between the parents and the work schedule of parents and the bond between the parents and the devotion and the capability of the parents to perform parenting duties. I fit all that criteria to at least have 50-50. And Goldberg and Jones, a father's rights law firm, told me we won't even try, but for every other weekend. I could go into court the average, unless you're accused of domestic violence, you could walk into court and get every other weekend with 2 hands tied behind your back. Just walk into court and not fill out anything. Your Honor, I want to be an involved father. I love my kid. Boom. And these dudes said, that's all I can get. And then I went to court, and my first visit, temporary order, 5 days a week. My baby's mom worked 4/10, so she's off on Friday. So I got Monday through Thursday during the day for 4 hours. My daughter was only 3 months old. I should have got more. If I'd have known then what I know now, I would have been able to argue it better. And then 8 hours on Saturday. 5 days a week. And Goldberg and Jones told me, screw that, you're going to get every other weekend. And I actually was better that I didn't get every other weekend because there had been a long gap. I saw my daughter 5 out of 7 days every day until I got full custody. So the transition was easier for her. She was so used to that routine. We just give in to peer pressure and all this other stuff. And the vast majority of people, they never even looked at the law, or their attorney didn't tell them the law. And I started talking about the law like, oh, well, they said this and they said that. Are you that much of a pussy coward where your mind only cares about what everybody thinks? You cowardly bitch. When I tell you what the law says and what the court has to say, and I look at the law with people, a lot of them still say, but I can't go in there and call her that. It'll look bad. According to who? My lawyer and the guardian ad litem. Well, those mother effers got it wrong. So do you want to talk about truth, the law, and justice, and what's right? Or are we talking about let's just do whatever peer pressure tells us to do? What the entire F, and what kind of effing deductive reasoning did you get coming out of the womb? You don't got any damn common sense. Wake the hell up. And I'm harping on this because this is the root of the problem. Once guys stop being pussy ass bitches and grow some balls, I could just sit here and just jump right into all the different options and stuff. Let me get back to the administrative court. So you go to an administrative court, and according to TJ Tillman, child support is fraud. If the clerk of the court said clerk of the court on the stamp instead of court clerk, then that's wrong. Or if they didn't serve you, if the proof of service is wrong. Well, if the proof of service is wrong, you go back and do a motion to vacate and undo it. Like you can go back and vacate an order if you qualify under the vacate rules. There was an extraordinary injustice. A fraud was committed, like, he was served. That's a fraud if you weren't served. And some other things. You can vacate it. But once they vacate it and you filed court papers and you gave them your address, now they're just going to serve you at that address and start all over again. So TJ Tillman is giving you a temporary relief, and he makes you think that you can make child support go away. So all these child support fraud mother effers are full of utter shit. Now I'm sick and tired of their punk asses. TJ Tillman from Child Support is Fraud. It's $100, I think, to get a consult with him. He has a book for $45. And I was a fan of his at first until I started listening to him. Just like with President Father, I knew he was a pussy ass bitch because he's whining all the time. But the more I listened to him, the more he told on himself. That guy's the most retarded, dumbass mother effer I've ever seen. A lot of these father's rights advocates are stupid because they're emotional, or they think laws are going to work, and they read the laws and they don't like the laws, or they don't read the laws and like we need to change the laws. But Randy Keefe is the dumbest, low IQ, airheaded piece of shit mother effer out there, and he charges $250 an hour to share his dumbass advice with you guys. I'm sitting there, like I did in a video recently, I'm helping guys rescue their life with their kids. I should be charging $250 an hour, and I got people whining and bitching that I charge $80. I'm the cheapest father's rights advocate out there, and I'm the only real one that doesn't lie to you guys. The one attorney I like, she gets played and used by people because she feels bad for them, and she cuts some deals and works real hard, and she's passionate about people's cases. Meanwhile, other attorneys, like I just did a video, I found out about a woman who paid $20,000 for mediation. Went to mediation, nothing was agreed to. And then she went to trial, $37,000, and she only got to testify for 30 minutes. I think it might have been a one-day trial. And the attorney walked away, totally incompetent, walked away. What was that? $57,000 from her in a few months. But people are willing to pay people just because they have high prices, and they think that must be a good service because it's a high price. I just can't. I'm just so disgusted as to how stupid people are. They don't look at, okay, what did you actually do? Like, I show you guys my winning orders. I show you guys testimonials. You guys can see that stuff. I don't see TJ Tillman giving testimonials, and he charges $100 a month, $100 for a consult. He says on his website, no questions will be answered until you pay for a consult. I get people call me up. I might pick up the phone. I don't know who it is. And I might talk to them for 5 or 10 minutes because I'm driving somewhere and doing nothing. And, I'll say, well, I charge for my time. How could you do that? Look, dude, I can't have you just call me up and tell me your whole story like I owe it to you. Well, you blah, blah, blah. And TJ Tillman's out here making tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, he probably makes six figures doing what he does. And he's ripping people off. And he's lying to people. And he's giving them answers that might fix stuff temporarily, but it doesn't tell you what to do after they vacate the order and they serve you again. And, oh, yeah, and TJ Tillman, he wasn't even the father in his own case. He won because the DNA test proved he wasn't the father. That's how he won. And he sells you a book. I don't know, let's say his book is 150 pages. $45. And his own testimony, his only testimony is that they served him when he was too young. So he couldn't have possibly been the father. And it turned out he's not the father. So they can't have an order of child support. He's lucky he got a whole, some states after a certain age, you can't undo paternity. Which is crazy because the courts are saying we want to have somebody owed money for a lie. And the courts are not supposed to base stuff off a lie. And they're saying that we will. Freaking retarded idiots. And all the pussies out there in the legislature that won't argue this correctly allow that to be a law. That's one law that needs to change. And then DNA tests at birth automatically so everybody knows. So there aren't these millions of cases of fake fathers and child support fraud. I just saw a red pill guy. This white dude with a salt and pepper beard. He's like, I think it's entrepreneurs and cars. And he says a lot of good stuff. But he tells dads that after child support is ordered, you can't undo child support and you're stuck with it. And this guy said, well, can I sue my baby's mom, whatever? He goes, no, you go back to court. They say, well, the order's still in place. That stupid ass mother effer is so retarded. He's given advice of something he doesn't know shit about. You can go back to court and they say, okay, the child's 5 years old. Your deadline to undo paternity was 4, so you're stuck with that. Yeah. So then go sue the mother in regular court for extortion or fraud. This stupid ass mother effer didn't even think about that option. You know, if you go to court and you prosecute somebody for a crime for beating you up and they're not found guilty of assault, you can still go to civil court and sue them. That's what they did in the O.J. Simpson case. O.J. Simpson was acquitted of murder. A whole bunch of people think that he did it and he got off. I'm actually not one of them. I don't think he did it. Based upon the documentary I watched and followed the case from beginning to end, it looks super shady as hell. And now there's theories about somebody else in his family, a cousin or something, and then some maintenance worker that Nicole Brown Simpson had. Either way, the main point is he's acquitted in criminal court, and then he went to civil court and they sued him for wrongful death as if he did it. And this dumbass mother effing piece of shit entrepreneurs and cars says, well, it's pretty hopeless, you can't. Because that motherfucker's knowledge is limited. Excuse my French. Not like I don't. I mean, I don't really want to do this, but you got these stupid, dumbass, piece of shit idiots say the stupidest stuff. They don't know what they're talking about, and then they give you a conclusion that's hopeless, and they haven't explored all the options. Who the F in the world goes and talks like they're an expert on something, and they haven't experienced it or seen it and don't know and didn't research it? Only dumbass mother effers and charlatans and cult leaders. You know, cult leaders will take scripture that, you know, majority of Americans believe in or believed in at one time, and they'll twist it a little bit, and they'll have their group of followers off a little bit, and by the time they're down the road and after years of being in that cult, they're way off of the truth. You know, just like I've given an example, you take Route 66 from, I don't know if it comes from LA and goes through Phoenix or something like that. Let's say you veer off of it, you're down here in LA, and you want to get over here to, I don't know, New Orleans, and then you go off by a degree, and by the time you're up here, you might be in Illinois or something. You could just be a little bit off. I hate it when somebody has a position of influence and power or popularity, and they tell somebody something wrong, or they give them a false hope, or like this guy I reposted on Facebook, he lies and tells dads to quit on your kids and they'll come around later. And all the dads that are suffering, struggling, not seeing their kids, But most of those dads, I bet you they didn't even try and file in family court. They're just sitting there letting their baby's mom punk them. And they could go to the school and pick up their kids like they picked up their kids last month, and the mother said, you can't see the kids anymore. And there's no restraining order, nothing. And they don't think, I'm just going to go get my kids anyway. I mean, if your baby's mom and you, or your girlfriend and you have a car that's in both of your names, and one night she takes it and then she leaves it somewhere and she's mad at you, so she just drives the car off and just ditches it because she's being a crazy woman and comes home, would you be afraid to go get the car because she says don't get the car? No, you grab the spare and go get it. Or if you took the car and she reported it stolen just because she's mad at you because she wanted the car for the night, and the cops pull you over, would you say, oh, I better give the car back to her? No, you would say, look, the registration, the car's in my name. You don't say, look, the birth certificate, I'm the dad. I'm going to go pick up the kids at school just like I did last month. I had a guy one time call me in Southern California. He hadn't seen his kids in months. And I said, well, is she just telling you can't? Why are you not doing that? Well, I do have the court order time, but she told me I can't. You mother effing pussy. I told him I can't help him and I don't want to help him. He had a court order and he wasn't following the court order and picking up his kids because the mom told him to stop. You see how effing insane? Guys who have court orders won't go pick up their kids if the mom tells. I said, is the mom a judge? Is the mom greater than the court order? A judge of a court said, you know, the judge said, you're sentenced to 3 years in prison, and it's a woman, and she says, I don't have to go. Could she walk out of court? No. This is the insanity of what I do. I have to see the lowest of lows of the dumbass, moronic cesspool of pus, of brainless, mother effing, pussy-ass bitches. And this is the mainstream. This is the people out there giving people advice on how to deal with your baby's mom. And anybody could have easily found me anytime in the year 2000, anytime in the 2000s after 2008. And they don't search, they don't care, they're lazy. And it's just frustrating because it's easier than ever to get information. It's easier than ever. I look at the thousands and thousands of comments on posts that come across my Facebook feed. There's this dumbass dad who has his 2 sons campaigning with him about changing the system. He's out of South Carolina. He came across my page and he's like, yeah, all the lawyers are corrupt and all these people are corrupt. And then he left. And I'm like, I have answers, dude. You don't want to see the answers? Like, I wasn't trying to sell him anything. I think he has a final order and he's kind of given up. He's trying to just change the system. And I told him what will and what won't work as far as legislation and changing the system. And he was saying, you know, a lot of these fathers' rights advocates are charlatans, and that's what I had posted, and he agreed. But then he's out there still running around, change the laws, and the laws are fine, especially in South Carolina. South Carolina got rid of the tender years doctrine. If you don't believe me, get your laptops out. Google South Carolina custody factors, best interest of child. The first line in the law is the annotated version. It says, we repeal the tender years doctrine, where children in the 10 years need moms more. They repealed that. That's been debunked. South Carolina has some great laws. This punk-ass bitch didn't go to war, and now he's going to war against the system. Why do you have that energy going to war against your mom? Because you're a punk-ass bitch. And he's out here, and then one post he said, man, I'm out here exhausting myself. It's really draining when you do this, and it seems like you're spinning your wheels, and you don't even know how to fight the system or whatever. But he's out there acting like he's one of the leaders out there changing the system. See, when you listen to these guys long enough, you'll realize that they're full of shit. You listen to me, everything I say, I back up. I just talked to you about South Carolina has decent laws. I say, go look it up. Whatever state you're in, if you get a consult with me, we can go and look up your laws and go down through them. And we can give you the science and all the overwhelming evidence that says you take a child away from a father, that's dangerous. And you know what they're doing nowadays? They're taking children away from a father just because the mother says he's not a good parent. He's an abuser. He neglects the kids. He's got an anger problem. And nobody counters that with the science that says that's a dangerous court order if he doesn't have 50-50. Really, it's dangerous if he's not in the home full time. But you guys won't argue that. Your lawyers won't argue that. And then what I'm talking about works for dads, and you won't do it, and then you'll say in the comments, James, I tried. Did you do what I said? No, but I tried. You mother effer, you have to do what it takes to do it. That's like somebody going on a diet or going to the gym and getting a personal trainer. The personal trainer gives you exercise and diet. And then you go to the gym regularly and exercise, but you go home and eat Twinkies and cakes all day long. And then your trainer sees that you gained weight after 3 months. And then, you do it, let's say you do a session every month and you're gaining weight. And they say, did you do what I said? No, but I tried. I ate a salad at lunch. I just had cakes and Twinkies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You didn't try. You did it wrong. And everybody, all these feminine men are in their feelings. They get offended because I tell them the truth. I'm giving you the answer. If you would just do it the right way, I know it's hard. I know it sucks. I know you got anxiety. But the pain of not seeing your kids and not fighting and the pain of regret. Michael Jordan's trainer, he said, I don't like that guy because he was lucky he had Michael Jordan. He's some badass trainer. Anybody who trained Michael Jordan had any kind of knowledge about that stuff would have got famous because they were training Michael Jordan. It wasn't like he didn't make Michael Jordan. He was just there along for the ride. Anyway, but he has some cool quotes, and one of them is, what did he say? He was talking about the price of winning, and he said, I forget how he said it, but then he said, wait till the check comes in when regret not doing it. He was talking about, just going for it, the price of the pain of going through to win. If that's what deters you away, wait till the price of regret kicks in or comes calling, or that check has to be cashed. How can you not use logic and say, I got to go to war now so that I give myself a chance to have peace later? How can you say, I'm not going to go to war right now, I'm going to quit, it's too hard, and suffer with the regret of not fighting and the pain? The pain doesn't go away if you quit or surrender or sign a court order that gives the mother all the control. It's just in the moment you're suffering so bad, I'll just sign away to make this go away. And then you give her all the power and control. She's been controlling you through the court case. And then you sign and surrender and mediate or give her whatever because you're afraid to go to trial. And I did a video on this. Some of your leverage power is taking your case all the way up until trial. Here's trial. Your case started way back here. You guys have been fighting. You're suffering. You go down and down. And then you take the case to trial. And she goes, oh, wait a minute. How about if I give you more time? I don't want to go to trial. But you didn't even try, and it's like playing chicken. You run into this wall, and you see who bails out first. And almost all the time, the women will bail out or offer you more if you just try to do that. And you could just bluff, like you don't even want to go to trial, and you could just bluff all the way up to trial. Send them a witness list, send them exhibit list, send them exhibits. Talk about what you're going to do at trial, and then they'll say, "Dang, this guy is for real. I don't want to spend $15,000 for trial and 7 days in court. Let me just give him a couple more days." But you don't even try that. That's a pussy-ass bitch move. You're either a warrior that fights for your kids, or you're a pussy-ass coward, bitch, or lazy. There's no in between. You can't half-ass it and win in court. You can't half-ass a war. You cannot half-ass a boxing match. How are you going to half-ass a boxing match and knock Mike Tyson out or avoid him knocking you out? It's all or nothing. There's no in between. Anything less than going all out is a coward or lazy or stupid move. And your kids suffer because of it. You brought those kids into the world. You owe it to them to fight for them. That's another thing. These guys that preach this stuff just walk away. They grew up with single moms. They are feminine bitches at heart. No matter how big and strong they are outside, they walk away when there's a controversy or something hard. If they can cut something off, they do. Because they don't take ownership like a real man. Okay, so let's go through. Okay, so I answered Elias Gonzalez. What is that? F? I can't see that. I need reading glasses. Okay. Let's see. Real Lady Jules. My baby's dad has full custody, doesn't comply fully to his court order. My teenager sees that, so when I ask for extra time, he obliges, but then he takes that next visit. What are your thoughts? Well, if he voluntarily gives you extra time, but you expect to have that visit and it's court order, he's still violating that court order. If your job gives you a bonus at Christmas because you did a good job, and then the next time you have a next paycheck, they cut your paycheck in half, you would raise hell, because if the regular paychecks are expected, if they do something voluntarily above and beyond what they're supposed to do, that doesn't take away their obligation or their contract with you to do that. He doesn't get to. I'd be doing contempt. Stop it. Contempt. Stop him. Contempt is the only recourse you have to stop somebody from violating a court order. There's case law in every state that says the court has the power to enforce their orders. If the court created a court order, why would they not enforce it? They do it with child support. If a judge in the middle of a court proceeding tells everybody to be quiet and sit down, and they make a bunch of noise and disrupt the court, they order them to sit down because everything must be done in an orderly fashion in the court and have court decorum, and the judge gets to control the courtroom. If they raise up again, they might kick them out, or they might find them contempt and throw them in jail. You can see YouTube videos of contempt in the courtroom, woman thrown in jail. I remember one lady, she's flipping off the judge, and the judge says, okay, you got 10 days in jail. Okay, 30. Okay, 60. Just because she was emotional in the moment and wanted to talk smack to the judge. Do contempt. And there's case law in every state that says the purpose of contempt is to coerce compliance with an order. There's nothing else that coerces compliance except contempt. I have videos on my YouTube channel. Also, court ordered us to use talking parents. We were using it up until they started charging money this month. I had to you had to unblock to communicate. Let me see. But he's known to become ugly on text. Okay, well, you can save your text, but as far as I know, talking parents and family wizard, it's easy to navigate and print stuff. Think about when you go to court and you have to present text. You got to get screenshots and then send them to your email and print them out, 4 up on a page. You got to number the page, stuff like that. Family wizard, talking parents, you just print out the section of the page. And it's right there, and the conversation is right there. And even emails, you got to go to from one email to another email and find this other email where it's all like you could just print out the whole book of talking parents or parts of it. That's the only thing I like about that, but is the convenience of that. Outside of that, it's just it's a money grab, but there is a convenience part to it. Anywhere he violates a court order, I don't know what you're asking about that. You want it to be on your, what do you guys have? Family Wizard or talking? You have talking parents. Do you want, if you're still on, I'm sorry I took a long time to get to your question, but if you're still on here, what about talking parents? What is it that you want? I mean, if it gets ugly on text, you can go to court and prove the text, but what are you going to, I mean, you could talk about him being harassing and get him in trouble for harassing, maybe. They'll just say, oh, this is conflict. Make sure you go back to talking parents, or don't do that anymore. But if he has, I mean, the only punishment for him is if you got custody, but that's not a hardcore really thing to get custody back from. So I'm not sure what your problem is with that. Go back to doing that. I mean, that's the price you pay for the convenience of talking parents. And if you don't like talking parents because of the price, and you don't like text because he gets hostile, pick one. How do you do that? Hello. Okay, that's Elias Gonzalez. I don't know what you're talking about. How do you do that? If I say something here and I get on a roll and you guys say, why did you say that, or how do you do that? You got to be a little more specific and give me a hint as to what you're even talking about. This is a problem with a lot of people with no self-awareness. You go to court and you say, well, Your Honor, you know, they were doing this and they were doing that, and then that thing happened and the other thing happened. Dude, you're talking to a total stranger. They don't follow him, her, they, them. If there's 20 people you're talking about, 3 kids, a baby's mom, paternal grandparents, maternal grandparents, cousins and uncles, you say, well, he did this and she did that. Say the maternal uncle, say the paternal grandmother, say the father, say the mother. Have some common sense. Now, it doesn't matter here in this conversation, but it reminds me of how people like, or people call me up and they'll just start talking like, and they did this and blah, blah, blah. I said, wait a minute, who's they? The mother's family. Okay, but who are you talking about specifically? Oh, and they think because they can picture it that I know what they're talking about. You guys have to develop listening skills and talking skills and step outside yourself and say, can a total stranger read this and know what the hell I'm talking about? It's a basic English writing and listening function that we've lost in America. My baby's mom isn't handling... So this is... God, I need to get glasses. Sorry. Eric Cisneros? I'm sorry, I can't really see that. My baby's mom isn't handing over the passport when we got back together. She also threw child support paperwork over the gate at a child exchange. Should I go to contempt? And then he says, what motion do I file? What do I ask for? Okay, well, when you guys are asking me what specifically should I ask for and stuff like that, if I don't have a detailed set of facts for your case, I can't help you outside of a consult. You need a consult for that. If you're asking for very specific step-by-step details, how do I file? What do I do? I need to know what state you're in. What are the court rules? What are the court forms? We have to sit down and go over that. But in general, you got back together with your baby's mom and she's not giving you the passport. I don't know what that means. Is she ordered to give you the passport because you want to go out of the country? And when you got back together, did you guys reconcile? I don't even know. I don't even know if the court order is requiring it. One of you has got to have the passport. So she threw child support papers over the gate at a child exchange. I don't know what that means. Was she trying to serve you papers? And you're saying, should I do contempt? Contempt is a violation of a court order. Technically, there's several elements of it. You guys know, like the difference between murder and manslaughter. Murder, manslaughter, dead body. Murder, manslaughter, you're the person who caused the body to be dead. Murder, you did it on purpose. Manslaughter was an accident. I was driving in the snow. I swerved off the road and hit somebody. Okay, it was neglectful homicide. I neglected to pay attention to the road. I lost control. Manslaughter. If I was chasing down a girlfriend because she cheated on me and I'm chasing her down the car and I want to bump her and hurt her, that can be construed as murder, like I'm chasing her down to get revenge and harm her. So there's 3 elements over here. There's 2 elements over here. These are elements to fulfill a crime. There's elements of contempt also. You have to have a willful violation of a valid court order without reasonable excuse. So first of all, you got to have a court order. Is there a court order that says somebody's supposed to do something? She threw papers over the gate. Does it say she can't throw papers? Then she's not violating a court order. It's not contempt. If she threw the papers at you, that could be assault. If she's trying to serve you, that's not proper service. She can't serve you unless you sign a form called acceptance of service. That's not contempt. The passport, I don't know what your court order says about the passport. Are you the only one who ever gets to have the passport, or is it your turn? But if she's violating something and it's hindering your right to go internationally and do a vacation with your kid, then that would be contempt. And then you say, what motion do I file? What do I ask for? If you're doing a contempt motion, you file contempt motion. And then you have to get an order for the person to appear in court, because contempt can be done when your case is over. And if your case is over and closed, you need a summons to summon somebody to court. And they make a special summons for the case of contempt. It's called an order to show cause, or an order to come to court and show cause why you shouldn't be found in contempt. It's kind of backwards word language. they're ordered to come to court and show a good reason why they shouldn't be found in contempt. It should be ordered to appear. So you go to court. I mean, this is generally the specific rules of your specific state or your specific county. You got to follow those. And if you don't know what to do, that's what people need to get a consult with me for. To look over and find the details so you can look up your own law, your own rules in your own county, and the court forms that are required. You know, I have packets in my store too on a contempt motion. I won my first try at contempt. I've had countless people who won contempt. I had one guy, he did 3 contempts and they never found the mother in contempt, but they always gave him makeup time, which is backwards. They knew that she was tripping and violating his time. They knew it, but they just didn't want to find her in contempt because the poor little lady, she didn't know. But he missed out, so they felt bad. He only had weekends, and he missed several weekends, so he had makeup time. The next 6 times he tried to do contempt against her, it might have been 5 out of 5. But he got 5 contempts within the next 2 years. In Washington, you get somebody found in contempt 2 times in 3 years. That's grounds to change custody. And it should be grounds to change custody in any state. That's why you should jump all over contempt. There's people who are getting visitation violations once a month. And they're waiting and waiting and waiting to build it up and build it up so they really have a case. Mother effer, do a contempt the first time it happened. You don't think that's significant? You're an every other weekend dad and you miss a whole weekend. Your time is precious with the kids. So that's where you don't have any self-esteem. You don't have any confidence in yourself. I'm the father. The kids need me. This is horrible that they missed out on one of the very small amounts of time that they have with me. You should be enraged and go to contempt instead of waiting and tolerating and taking it up the ass and bending over and taking it up the ass and letting them railroad you because you're building a case. Does a prosecutor wait when somebody, we found a child molester, a janitor at this daycare, he's molesting the kids. Okay, let's wait until he molests and rapes about 12 other kids over the next 3 months, and then we'll really get him. That would be a dumbass, stupid, mother effing, low IQ, airheaded, moronic, pussy-ass bitch way of trying to protect children from harm. Your kids have an expectation of seeing you. They don't get to see you. They're being alienated. They're being traumatized. And you sit back, I'm going to let them be traumatized for 4, 5, 6 months, and then I'll build a case. Who the F in the world does that in any other area of life? And you shouldn't look at this as I'm attacking you and I hate you and I'm trying to hurt you and punish you. It should be wake the F up, man, and go rescue your kids. I'm giving you an answer that nobody else is telling you to do. All the attorneys are like, well, just wait and build a case and document. These are like Randy Keith from Present Father. He'll say, oh, just documents. He'll get on there and say, hey, isn't it horrible when your baby's mom just keeps alienating and brainwashing the kids and she tells the kids, you know, you guys are suffering. You're just trying to be a good dad. And she says you're a bad dad. Man, it hurts your mangina. I understand what you're going through. Join my club and let's all whine and cry and pout about it. No answers. Present Father has a podcast where David Passara from Dad's Law School says, don't ever do contempt. You'll never win. I won contempt and I got a winning order and makeup time. And he says, you'll never get makeup time. You only get makeup when it's money stuff. So only go there, only do contempt for money. Who's the only people who do contempt for money? Women for child support. What the F is this gay dude on? And I did a video talking about him and he saw it. And I said I won contempt on my first try, and he's still telling dads you can't win contempt. He's a mother effing punk ass bitch. And he probably can't empathize because he's gay and he's never had kids and he never will. The hell? And people are listening to this mother effer. And it's not even about why are you listening to him, listen to me. I don't like you not listen to me. It's like, why are you listening to a lying bitch who has no proof about what he's talking about, and he just says, oh, I've been an attorney 27 years, so listen to me. God, we're such... If you guys go to YouTube and you type in the Milgram experiment, Milgram, there's an experiment they did where they had a scientist in a lab coat in a room. They're all actors, though. They had volunteers come in. What they would do is say, hey, you need to ask a question in a microphone. Somebody's listening in another room. Ask the question. If they get it wrong, you have to hit a buzzer. And the buzzer shocks them. They hear, eh. And then in the other room, they go, ow. And then there's a scientist said, okay, go ahead and ask the questions. They have a list of questions. They ask the question in the microphone. The other side answers wrong. Lever number one, gives them a little shock. And they go, ow. And then the people doing that, they go, what's going on with that? Just continue the experiment, please. And they do it and they keep doing it. Like, and then the people are going, ow, please stop, please stop. The people in the other room. So the people in the other room are actors. The scientist with the lab coat is really an actor, not a scientist. They got a clipboard and they say the experiment must go on. Like, I'm not going to hurt this person. We're hurting them. They're crying for help. And they say the experiment must go on. Please continue. It must go on. And then people keep doing it. And they found out like 25% of those people were willing to shock them, and they're screaming in the other room to the point, the amount of shock, if it was real, it would have killed them. Why? Because they're a bunch of pussy-ass sheep bitches who listen to somebody in a lab coat. Because humans are mother effing pussy that are bullied into peer pressure stuff like I talk about all the time. I'm trying to wake people up. Like, what the F is wrong with you? You're sitting there following the lead of your attorney, and you're shocking your kids, and you're tormenting your kids by not rescuing them from the child abuse mom. And you're walking away because you're following some punk-ass bitch who was a single mom-raised little faggot and a knucklehead who thinks women own children, and they're brainwashed their whole lives. There's nothing we could do about it, and we're going to go to court and lose. And, you know, and the court system's anti-father. I don't lie about that. I'm realistic about it. But if you don't fight the right way, you automatically lose. And if you do fight the right way, the vast majority of guys, when they do it the right way from the beginning, they win something. And some of them get full custody. I stopped counting at 300 5 years ago, the number of dads that helped get full custody. There's a guy named, oh my God, what is his name? There's a guy, he does father's groups. He's changed his hair several times. He went through a divorce, and he talks to dads about sex issues, identity issues, stuff like that. But he says, when you go to family court, you got to get a lawyer. It's too hard to do it yourself. And he got his ass handed to him with a lawyer. And then I got in the comments and I said, bullshit, I did it. And another guy said, well, I won without an attorney. He said, you're stupid. And now that guy has changed his mind. Okay, you can do it by yourself. God, what is his name? And people pay him hundreds of dollars to listen to his bullshit. And he actually used my hashtag, how I got custody, a couple times. God, what is his name? I can't remember. But people just listen to bullshit just because somebody has a cool little graphic design. You know, Randy Keith has a nice little podcast, a nice logo. Stuff sounds good. But if you just listen to him carefully, that guy said he whined and complained about his baby's mom, his ex-wife, alienating the kids for a year. How did she get time with the kids to alienate them? He agreed to 50-50 when his own attorney said, let's go for supervised visits. Your ex-wife tried to off herself. She went to the loony bin a couple times, I guess. And he said, no, let's give her 50-50. Oh, the kids need their mother. And then he proceeded for the next year to say, she's an alienator. I can't believe she's doing this. She's harming our kids and brainwashing our kids. And then he goes back to court, and she's moving 400 miles away. There's a chance for him to not have just 50-50, but have full custody. And then the mother says, you know what? I don't want custody. He can have them. So she gave up because he did engage in the war of attrition. Good for him sticking it out and going all the way to trial, but he's using lawyers again. And then he proposed that she get 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off in the summer. What the F is wrong with this stupid mother effer? Why would anybody listen to what he says? He cried for a year that she's an alienator. Then he proposed that the alienator have control over the kids for 2 weeks at a time, and she's moving 400 miles away from him. But the court gave her 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off. And he has a video. Go type in present father. There's another group called Present Fathers, but Randy Keith with a beard, he looks like Paul Bunyan or Grizzly Adams, blonde beard. Him and some of his guests have talked about me on his show silently, and you know, took a couple jabs. David Passara, and then some other goofball. And I mean, he's got a nice setup, but he gave the kids over to the baby's mom to abuse. And then he has a video on his YouTube that says, I got full custody, but look at my order. My order still sucks. He served it up for her to get 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off in the summer, and he's crying about it. He's afraid that he thought if he proposed 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, that's all the court would do. He was so stupid and such a F-tard. I mean, it's just disgusting because this is what goes on everywhere. I mean, it's like a Jewish person looking up in Nazi Germany, or a black dude looking around in the Jim Crow South, or whatever. Everybody's against me. Nobody's there. I'm an equal human being, but nobody cares. And I'm looking up and saying, dads can win in court. Nobody wants to try. Nobody's looking for answers. It's easier than ever to find me. It's easier than ever to represent yourself, and dads don't want to do it. And I'm getting too old to try and convince dads to do it. I mean, I might have to get to a point where I just do a video on each topic and sell that in a store and not do consults, because it's just, you know. And when I do a consult, I respect the people paid for my time, and we walk through everything. And sometimes I have to control the conversation, because some people want to just call me up and ramble for an hour about a whole bunch of nothing. And I have to be respectful and say, look, you're wasting both of our time. If you're going to talk the whole conversation, you're not going to learn anything. I'm trying to teach you how to fight for your kid. And then some people, one guy, one time he paid me, he said, you know what, I just want to vent, so I'll pay you for that. I said, okay, if that's all you want to do. And he paid me for a couple hours to vent. I don't know what he got out of it, but he was straight up about it. But guys who say, I need answers, I need to fix this, and they just want to ramble on and have diarrhea of the mouth and just tell me the story and dominate the conversation. And then I start telling them, like, look, man, we got to narrow this down. No, let me just tell you. Okay, and then by the time, like, let's say it's an hour consult, we're at minute 50, and I say, hey, look, I got an hour worth of information to tell you. Now there's only 10 minutes left. Do you want to pay for more time? And they're like, oh, I didn't. It's because men are in their feelings. And I try to warn them, and some guys just don't want to hear it. And then they're mad. They're like, and I'm trying to cram in stuff. Like, that's how much I respect people's time, and them paying for my time, that I don't want you to screw yourself. Like, if nobody goes to a college class and signs up for a physics class, let's say astronomy class, you walk in there and you ask the professor a question like, okay, you know, how do we detect, you know, the orbit of a star around another star in you know, in another galaxy, you know, whatever. And then they start talking, they go, because I have this problem trying to figure it out. And then we have this detection system, and there's that detection system. And Einstein said that, and they just ramble on and take over the class. Why would you go to a class to tell somebody who knows more than you everything that you failed at trying to figure it out? I mean, if you go to a driver's ed class and you get in the car, and then you start telling the guy, well, I don't know how to steer. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to shift gears. I don't know how to do this. And you just sit there and talk, I don't know. They're sitting right there to teach you. Shut the F up and start driving and let them teach you. Like, this is how insane my gender is. They will call me up just to tell me everything that they did wrong and how it went wrong. And I got the answers to help get them their kids. And they want to talk about everything else about how to get their kid. It's like going to a dentist and you have a pain in your tooth. And you start talking about when you started chewing, you know, sugar gum when you were a kid, and then your teeth started rotting, and you tell story after story, and they're like, can you just sit back so I can give you this nitrous oxide and put you out and pull your tooth? Like, it's literally that insane that my gender is so caught up in their feelings that they won't even get the help they need, even when it's right there, or even when they pay for a consult. I have to steer them into it. Now, it's not everybody, but it's a lot of people. But most of the people who are like that don't call me. It's just some that when they do call me, they think it's a venting session or a counseling session. And, you know, you got other people for that. I actually have a source, a woman who was alienated for 4 years. She does that type of venting, counseling, talking with people, and how to cope with it, because she went through hell for 4 years on supervised visits and didn't deserve it, got bamboozled, and she thought she'd never come out. And now she counsels and talks to people. I have it as one of my resources on my YouTube channel. I have it pinned. I have her stuff pinned on my Instagram. People rarely call it. She's like one of the best sources out there because she's an act. You know, if you had a drug problem, who would you rather get counseling with or be your sponsor? Somebody who actually had the same drug problem, has been clean and sober for a decade, or some smarty pants who read a book and went to college and got a chemical dependency degree and never touched drugs? Like, I've never been drunk in my life or touched drugs. But I would tell somebody, don't talk to me about how I overcome it. Talk to this guy who overcame it. Like, what he's done is more honorable than what I've done. There's a lot of people out there who never touch this stuff. It's easy to not be tempted. Like, I walk by out, it's not even a thought. But there's people who like I might walk by my favorite dessert somewhere and be tempted with that. But I don't know the pain and the addiction and all that other stuff, and the other person can empathize with you. So what, this lady that I actually helped her on her case, and I said, you are a great candidate to help people. Why don't you start a page? And so I refer people to her because it's somebody that I know that went through stuff and overcame it. I don't know who to trust out there except for a very few people. And I refer people to Father's Rights dude in Miami, Father's Rights dude in New Jersey, one in Texas. And then American Fathers, that guy's doing some great work right now. He does a little bit of everything. He's got a great page. Outside of that, I don't know who to trust or believe. But I went through everything that almost every dad goes through, except being falsely accused and imprisoned for false accusations of rape, child touching, and a criminal domestic violence case. But my baby's mom tried 7 different times to get an anti-harassment order against me. I got a domestic violence protection order against a chick that was toxic in a dating relationship 20 years after I dated my baby's mom. Made a stupid mistake, believed the chick. I didn't get suckered into having a kid, that's for sure. But, and then she tried to retaliate 5 different times to get a protection order against me, and I was destroying her in court. So I've seen it all from every angle. Why wouldn't you want to get my help? Why is it so hard to convince people to get my... Sometimes I have grandmothers, the father's mother, or the new girlfriend or the new wife. They see my videos and like, dude, watch, they tell their husband, they're the second wives. If you got a second wife and a girlfriend who's willing to tolerate your freaking bullshit because you ran up in a crazy psycho bitches stuff and created a kid, you got a team member. You got a great asset. You got a great asset for your case. You should be thankful for that woman and thank her every day for still sticking with you if she's with you. That's the greatest thing a guy can have if they have a second wife and a new girlfriend, is a supportive one who wants him to fight. But I get all the time, I get them calling me up, okay, I want to set up an appointment, and their son or their new boyfriend or their husband won't show up for the call. They have to cancel. Women want you to fight more than you do. The new women in your life. Now, I recommend against, until you get your custody battle solidified and finalized, why the F would you start a new family? But let's say you got it finalized, and you got a new family, and the chick comes back to modify if she wants to relocate. So now, your new girlfriend and your new wife, instead of you guys enjoying each other, you're both turning and going to war with this lady. This lady married you because she's in love with you, or wants to be with you because she's in love with you, and wants to enjoy you providing for her and her being a woman and all that other stuff. And then she's got to devote energy to that bullshit that you created over there. You got a great thing if you got a woman that's willing to do that. And a lot of you guys do, and you don't appreciate her, which is some bullshit. And then some of you got a new wife or girlfriend that calls me up, wants me to talk, and I said, he's got to call me. I am not going to hunt a dad down and force him to listen to me if he doesn't want help. And so many of them there's so many of them that won't get help. You're your own worst enemy. Anyway, I'm rambling on, okay. What state am I in? Washington. It doesn't matter what state I'm in. I help people all over the world. It's the same battle in every state, in Canada, Europe, and Australia. It's the same warfare mentality. It's just there's rules and a little bit of difference in the laws here and there. But overall, it's the same battle, the war of attrition. But if you're in Washington, I know Washington like the back of my hand off the top of my head on most issues. It's just so aggravating that the answers that I wish I had in 2001, I'm giving to you guys for free. And I got full custody. Now listen carefully. I literally am sharing with you guys that 1,200 videos I got on YouTube. I'm sharing with you 100 times the information that I got in 2001. And I destroyed the mother in court. It was a slow, long, drawn-out process because the guy who mentored me, he didn't know back then as much as I know now. It wasn't as easy back then as it is now with the internet and Zoom hearings and e-filing and e-service. And I'm giving you guys so much free information. And I still have to convince people that I know what I'm talking about, and this is their answers, and this is the way to go. And guys don't want to hear it. You're your own freaking worst enemy. Eric Cisneros, I think I'm pronouncing that right, but it's blurry because, like I said, I need glasses. I'm suing the director of California child support in federal court under 1983. Nice. Very few people even want to try and do that stuff. A lot of times they sue people and they settle out of court and they have a agreement not to publish that stuff. So, and especially CPS lawsuits, I bet there's been countless ones that have been, they agreed to seal the thing and not disclose. And if only the news and people know it. You know, a senator from Georgia was killed when she was exposing CPS. Long time ago. I think it was like 15, 20 years ago. I can't remember her name. Just Google Senator, Georgia, CPS, murdered. Supposedly her husband killed her and himself, shot himself in the back of the head or something crazy like that. But she was calling out the corruption and child trafficking in CPS. She's gone now. So Eric continues to say child support lien is on Social Security number, property of SSA. Failed to correct error for profit. Yeah. All kinds of crazy stuff. Okay. KT the King, 81. I think I'm reading that right. Hopefully I am. California allows the Department of Child Support Services to enforce child support orders that come from a family court. Yeah, they're a collection agency also. So they can order child support orders, but if you object, they really should get up out of there. If you object properly, they shouldn't have any authority. But they can do collection because the family court says, I want them to do collection services. They're just a collection agency. Not much you can do about that I know of. No child support guys on Instagram talk about this alternative. Okay, wait. They enforce child support that come from family court judicial proceedings. Okay, and then he goes on and says, to me, it appears to be a separation of powers violation of the Department of Child Support Services to enforce child support orders that come from from family court. You could argue that, but it's an agency that's kind of contracted from family courts. That might be a tricky issue, but I would never agree. Here's one thing that guys get stuck with. I'm glad you brought that up because here's a point I haven't brought up in a long time. A lot of guys agree. I really got to mark this because I got 140. I got to tell guys to look at this. Maybe I should do a separate video. A lot of guys agree. 140. that, okay, I agree, child support enforcement and this and that, and they can collect child support and daycare and this and that. And then the mother takes the kids out of daycare and child support still collects it. And you don't go back to modify the child support order and they're taking it out and they lump it all together. There's guys who don't pay attention to their child support, automatically take it out, and it's including daycare, and they don't even know the mother took the kids out of daycare. You should always pay the daycare directly. So if you send a check to daycare, they're like, hey, your kid's not in daycare anymore, and they'll send you the check back. You should never, ever, 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 like, if you wanted to collect child support to garnish your wages because it's easier for you to not have to think about it, that's fine. That's like automatic billing or whatever. If you like that because you're personally like that, fine. They could do it for accounting purposes but not garnish, or you could pay the mother directly. Now that you can wire stuff, I don't know why people wouldn't just wire stuff and do bill pay with that or something, or automatic transfer and program it. It's almost like division of child support is totally moot and pointless. But some guys agree, and their attorneys say, oh, it'd be easier for accounting just to have them garnish it and take it out. Those stupid F-tard attorneys. Why would you have an automatic payment of something that could change? The mother could pull the kids out of daycare the next month. The daycare could have a different rate, and you got it locked in the amount the division of child support takes out. See, this is where some of you guys don't even think. Why am I signing off on this? Okay, I'm signing off so they could take child support, basic child support, let's say $500 a month for basic child support. The daycare is $1,000, so you have to pay 60% of that, so you pay $600. So now $1,100 comes out. Well, the basic child support won't change until the court order changes. But she might change the daycare or other expenses, soccer, ballet lessons. If something's locked in, that's something that you don't even think like, this court order is going to take money out of my check every month. And one of these things might change at any time, but it's locked in there. You don't even think about that shit. Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand people who sign something that's permanently locked in, or sign any kind of contract, or sign in blood, or they sign an agreement on something and they don't think about what the hell they're signing. We've heard since kids, oh, read the fine print. Make sure you know what you're signing, or know what's in the fine print. You would never agree to go into business with somebody if you didn't know how much you were going to split the profits or your responsibilities. You would never take a job if they didn't tell you when you sign, okay, we'll give you whatever wage that we agree to. Like, guys actually agree to court orders that say the father shall have visitation as to, as per agreement of the parties, or whatever the parties agree to. Well, if the other party doesn't agree to what you want, you don't get it. And there's some dumbass mother effers who can't use second grade level common sense and say, you know what, I'm not signing that. None of you would ever sign. You get hired for a job, you have the orientation and the initial paperwork, human resources paperwork, whatever. You're going to get this wage, and you don't know what the wage is. You would never do that. You would never take a job and you don't know what you get paid. You would never sign the bottom line and then commit to that job. Why would you sign the bottom line and commit to a parenting plan where you don't know what your time is? Or you don't know, you read it and say, well, what does that mean? Okay, the visitation exchange shall be at a neutral spot. What the F does that mean? Like, you're not even thinking for a second to think this stuff through. My gender is such a bunch of F-tards. It's insane. Not all you guys, but a lot of you. You won't take care of, when your kid has a sickness or disease, like the doctor says, here's the protocol when you go home, do this, that, and you'll read that. You'll make sure that you follow that. You'll pay attention to that in just about every area of life. When you need to read something to follow some instructions, or they print the instructions on the bottle, like how many teaspoons they get of this, or how many pills you get a day, and then you get used to it and you don't forget. But you'll look at stuff carefully if you're not sure. But your parenting plan, your court order that you sign off on, you don't care enough to look at it carefully to know what the hell it says. The F is wrong with you. And I wouldn't harp on this stuff and sound so negative if this wasn't the vast majority of men out there. It's definitely the high majority of men who never call me, but guys who watch my videos, they wake up and they realize the expectation or the options or the rights that you have. And actually, I can grow some balls. I can keep my kid as long as I want when there's no court order. I don't have to obey the mother. I don't have to be a slave little simp. Anyway, don't agree to a garnishment of daycare. Pay the daycare directly. I think I'll just do another short video on that. For me, it appears to be separated. Okay, I already talked to KT, the king. What number can we call? My phone number is in every video that you see on YouTube. It's in the description below this video and every other video that I have. It's 206-553-9158. Or if you forget, just when you're on YouTube, my Instagram, my Facebook, my TikTok, go to the main page like any other person's page and look for my information. It's right there. It's in on YouTube, but the when you go to my YouTube, the banner picture that's over it that says what channel it is, boom, my phone number is right there. The description of every video. Most of my videos, it says right there in the video what my phone number is. So just go look at another video if you want to, or especially in the shorts. What's your hourly charge? I'm $80 an hour. I talked to you a couple years ago and forgot your rates. It's 80 now. If you talked to me a couple years ago, it might have been an older rate. The initial consult with me it needs to be an hour and a half to cover everything. So I take something off because I require an hour and a half. So it's $100 flat. So I take off $20, but everything else is 80, and you could pick a 30-minute block or 30-minute increment. 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. Some people have done 3 hours with me when they're getting ready for trial. So if you do the initial one for 100, an hour and a half, you can do follow-ups of 30 minutes for $40 forever if you want to do it here and there. And that's a freaking steal. Just think about, I can give you information that helps you rescue your kids and totally change your situation. And people are crying about having to pay $40 a pop after the initial consult. Two $20 bills is too much. And you guys took out your 401k, your retirement, to pay attorneys $15, $20, $80, $100,000, and you're crying about $40. There was a point where I was $40 an hour a long time ago. And the guy sent me a picture. I said, hey, he reached out to me. I said, hey, you can get a consult with me, $40 an hour. He goes, why do you charge? And he argued that. And he said, Jesus served people and he didn't charge people. I told the dude, bitch, Jesus had a bag of money and paid his bills. And the guy who kept his money, his accountant, was a thief and stealing the money. He still paid his bills and his taxes. Get the frick out of here with that gay version, occult version of, and try and do some spiritual stuff on me. And then he sent me a picture saying, you're the reason I can't see this child. I just met you, dude. You called me like for 5 minutes. And I told him, for two $20 bills, you can learn an hour of information. And everybody tells me an hour with me. They've never learned as much with an attorney over a year as they learned with me in an hour. And two $20 bills is preventing you from learning how to fight for your kid. You're a bitch. And he said that I'm going to hell and all this other stuff. And then I said, you're calling me from a cell phone that probably costs 10 times as much as it costs you to do a consult with me. See what I've had to do, and that it's the same old all the time. This is why people don't do what I'm doing. This is why fathers' rights groups fall apart, or the leader of a fathers' rights group disappears unless they're making really big money and they're giving bullshit answers like these attorneys. And they're hustling people. The guy who mentored me, Bob Carlson, Dad's Discrimination, he charged $25 an hour. That was nothing. Well, it was more significant than it is now. I mean, back then, that'd fill up my gas tank and more. Now, $25, it's a quarter of a tank. But I didn't question it at all. Went to a dads against discrimination meeting. The guy was dropping knowledge and information like I never heard. I went up to him like, how do I learn more, whatever. You can do a consult with me for 25 bucks. Boom, bam. I didn't question it, argue, or nothing. Because I was looking for help because I wasn't a pussy-ass faggot bitch like the vast majority of dads out there. Anyway, if you don't want to deal with me, you could talk to President Father, 250 bucks an hour. You could talk to Robert Garza, who spent $700,000 and it took him 15 years to get a final order of 50-50. And he'll teach you how to spend $700,000 and lose your kids 43 times to false CPS cases, and he never did anything about it because he's a feminine little bitch. You could pay him 450 bucks an hour. It's 300 bucks an hour during the week. If you talk to him on the weekend, 450 bucks an hour. And people are mad about 80 with me. Judge Anthony is only 950 bucks an hour. Family Court Corner, that lady's 350 bucks an hour. Took her 10 years and $100,000. You got to see, these people will charge you an arm and a leg to learn how they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. I got full custody of my daughter at age 7 months. I probably spent $1,000 going to Kinko's, paying for parking, dads against discrimination appointments. Probably talked to that guy 8 or 10 times the first year in person. 250 bucks. You know, going to Kinko's, I had to make copies of everything. Now it's, you know, we had it's paperless with e-filing and e-service, but I have to spend $100 here. If I had a court hearing, I had to spend $100. So over the course of 7 months, I probably spent $1,000. What is that? 120 bucks a month to get my life with my kid? You got to be one dumbass mother effer to not want to get my help. Now, if you don't get one-on-one help, you got to be an idiot to not take advantage of all the free stuff I got in my flow page and watch my free videos. I have testimonials on here on YouTube. If you type in HIGC testimony, how I got custody testimony, the initials HIGC testimony. If you type in that hashtag HIGC testimony on the YouTube search bar, you'll see several testimonies, and some of them are guys, well, I got the mother found in contempt. I fought off a restraining order. I got full custody just by watching your videos. My shit, there's somebody just commented, like, my shit should be going viral. Why isn't it? Because lazy ass mother effers watch my videos for entertainment. They never post it anywhere. They never share it in groups. There's a couple guys who do. But if you share it in a father's rights movement group, there's some gatekeepers there that don't like me because they don't like my harsh talk because they're a bunch of pussy-ass faggot little bitches who would never protect their kids. The father's rights movement once had a dad who told another dad and gave him advice and said, you have to give the kid back to your baby's mom. It doesn't matter that her boyfriend is molesting your daughter. You will get in trouble if you don't give the kid back. And that guy was in Idaho. I said, who the F are you to say that stupid shit? What law says that? And it took him like 20 minutes, and he came back and shared the law. I went and looked up the law. It says it's a gross misdemeanor or class something felony if you withhold the child from a parent who has court-ordered time. And then there's a line about this and a line about that. And the fourth line in the law says, unless you're doing it to protect the safety of the kid. So in the law, it said you can withhold the child. And this pussy-ass mother effing bitch in the father's rights movement Idaho chapter was on the page telling a dad to give his kid back to a molester. I would have risked the jail time if that was the law. See what punk-ass mother effing bitches were? I can't emphasize it enough. I can't complain about it. Everybody out here is complaining about the system, and the biggest problem is dads being pussies and not fighting. And so the system continues to build and get stronger and stronger because the fathers are feeding the monster by not fighting. There's a bully that goes around school bullying everybody, and if just 5 people, the whole school hates the bully. If just 5 people would jump the bully and beat the snot out of him, then he would stop bullying. But everybody's a pussy. He's outnumbered 1,000 to 1. But everybody's intimidated, and they're afraid to be the first person to step out and fight the bully when it just takes 5 of them to beat the snot out of him. Peer pressure shit. Okay, let me get back to the questions. Somebody said, who said that? Shay 3755. James is dropping gems. Guys, take notes. Thank you. What's your hourly rate? Okay. My baby's mom took my son to urgent care and didn't let me know in a timely manner. She's trying to serve me paperwork herself at an exchange after the judge ordered not to expose the child to that. What do I do? Contempt. If that's a specific court order, she's violating it, do contempt. And the way that you argue it, you need to get a consult with me if you want to argue it the right way. But if I'm going to court and say, Your Honor, you ordered this and she's defying the order. You ordered it because you know that's what's best for the kid. She doesn't care what's best for the kid. She doesn't care about the welfare of the kid and the toxicity of this stuff going on and putting the kid right in the middle of the court conflict. We're supposed to keep the kid out of that. The child is having a hard enough time being part of a broken family. Kids carry that weight and burden. This is one of the arguments I would always say in court. Kids carry the weight and burden of having a broken family. They see friends with a loving mother and father to walk up to them after school and say, hey, how you doing? And hug them. Or at a basketball game and hug their kids. And I remember I coached a girls basketball team with a buddy of mine who had 2 daughters before I had a kid. And one of the daughters after the game started crying and everybody's like, what's wrong? She's like, my dad's not here. She was part of a broken family, which is hard enough, and her dad doesn't show up to a game, and she did well, and she's wishing her dad was there. So there's a weight on their back automatically. And this woman comes to a visitation exchange and tries to serve me papers. Here's the court papers and stuff like that. And then you argue over that. And so the kid sees that. Another weight is placed on the kid's back directly by the mom. She has no regard for the welfare of the kid. She hates me more than she loves the kid. She wants to put the child in the middle of it. And she gets off on it. There's something sick in her head. And I need the court to find her in contempt to coerce her to stop. The only way this will stop is if the court finds her in contempt. And maybe not stop them, but I need the court to do it. It's your order, Your Honor. You did what's best for the kid. You said this is what's best for the kid. She's defying it. And she doesn't care what you say. She doesn't care what the law says. She doesn't care about what common sense says. I need you to intervene and stop that. And then she took the child to urgent care and doesn't want to co-parent. She's almost impossible to co-parent with. Real Lady Jules, my teenage daughter just confessed to me recently that her full custody father hit her when he got full custody 3 years ago, and custody says there should be no corporal punishment. I have no proof. Yeah, you do. You have her hearsay statement. Learn the exceptions to the hearsay rule. I have a video in my store on hearsay, on the evidence rules, and hearsay is one of them, and the exceptions to the hearsay rule. The child said that. You can repeat that in court, and there's an argument to bring that hearsay in. It's an exception to the hearsay rule. You need to learn that. Google hearsay exceptions or get a consult with me. If the child is being abused and you have that evidence, you should go to court with it to try and get custody changed. So you need to learn that rule. And if some attorney told you you can't bring that in, that's hearsay. They're full of shit. You should be going for that. If we're talking about physical abuse. And in my store, there's evidence rules. I think I have a couple free videos on the rules of evidence, personal knowledge, and maybe hearsay. I don't think I have one on the exception. I might have one on the exception to the hearsay rule. You can look for that. If not, you should get a consult. The fastest way to get answers is to get a consult with me. If your life with your kid is on the line and you want to rescue the kid from being abused, is it really that hard to get $100 to go rescue your kid? Or is it that hard to look at all my videos for free? It'll take time, but you'll save hours, days, maybe weeks if you do a consult with me. It's just like anything else. You could do an oil change in your car if you don't know how to do it and you've never done it. You can go read about it, watch YouTube videos, do trial and error, make mistakes. You can go to, a parts place. I'm not too mechanically inclined. You need to change out engine parts or change your transmission. You can do anything you want except do a surgery because you don't have the equipment of a hospital. You can learn anything you want on YouTube, read a book or whatever. It'll just take you a million times longer than to pay somebody else to do it. That's why you pay people to do stuff that you can't do. And some faggot ass bitch dads out there don't understand paying me to help them win their kids back like I'm doing some evil deed. I can't believe it's not about the kids and it's about money. You mother effing pussy ass bitches. If a fireman comes and sprays water and rescues your kids from the house and they get paid a salary, are you going to say, oh, you're greedy, you don't do this for free? If a kid's life is on the line, you should want to do it for free. You are an entitled welfare bitch who was raised by a single mom, you punk-ass little faggot bitch. The only reason I get upset about that is because I get people calling me up saying that stuff, or people wasting time in the comments when other people have actual needs. And the fact that I have to actually explain that to a grown man, that the whole world works on money. You provide a service and time for somebody, they should compensate you. That's how it works. Do you go to work for free? Like, let's say, I don't know, let's say you work at a clothing store, athletic clothing store. People need clothes. They shouldn't go around naked. Don't you want to work at the store and have, Nike in them, make stuff for free at no cost, and then give it away for free? Just because somebody has a need doesn't mean that it should be free. You have to be some kind of extra fruity, effeminate bitch to think that. But the answer to the lady who says I have no proof, when people say I have no proof, 99% of the time they're lying. Well, I don't have any proof that my wife slapped me. Were you there? Yeah, but I don't have video evidence. Have you ever heard of sorry about that noise. You got people thinking they're cool being loud with their cars around here. Have you ever heard of the word witness? Have you ever heard or watched TV or Law and Order or a legal movie where somebody say, I saw this happen? I don't have video surveillance. I don't have fingerprints, but I saw this happen. Why the F do you think they put people on the stand? I'm not talking about this lady right here. I'm talking about the dumbasses who come to me and call me up. Well, I don't have proof. I don't have a police report. I don't have this. I don't have that. What? Think about what a police report is. A police report is a written statement of what you said. And you think it's proof if a cop writes down. Like, you have such a hatred for yourself or such low self-esteem that you don't think that your witness testimony matters. We're so emasculated. We're so deballed and stripped of testosterone. We're such estrogen, feminine bitches that we can't think. I saw, when somebody says, my baby's mom slapped me, but I don't have any proof of it. Were you there when she slapped you? So you're a witness to it. You could go and talk about it. When the mother got that restraining order against you, did she have any proof? No, she just told them what she saw or what she felt. Okay, how come you're such a mother effing dumbass that you don't realize she came to court and her word was taken by the court and her witness testimony was good enough, and you are such a low self-image, I hate myself simp that you think you can't do the same thing? Like, that's literally a slave mentality. My master, the wife, the one who ran my family, the one I'm still pussy whipped by, she says something and it's okay. I know that I can't do the same thing. I got to have now. There is the reality of guys have to overprove themselves because of the bias of the court. But to go in there and say you have no proof and you're a witness to a crime of domestic violence, or I saw it, she beat my kids, she took a bunch of pills and tried to overdose, but I don't have any proof of it. You saw it, mother effer. Have just like a little bit of self-esteem and say, I'm a witness, I'm going to go in there and do it. Who said that? Let me see. Shay. Oh my God. I need to get glasses. Sorry. Shay 3755. 300 fathers, full custody, straight Spartans. Is that the character? I saw only blips of 300. I didn't watch the whole movie. It says James is Leonidas. Is that the leader of the army that defended against the Persians there? Your page is great, James. Thanks, man. That 300 number, I stopped counting like 5 years ago. The number of I started tallying dads here and there, and I'm still short of what the number probably is. And then I have guys who call me up and say, hey, I need to go back and modify child support. Oh, by the way, thanks. You helped me get full custody 8 years ago. I meant to tell you. There might be countless other stories out there that guys that never contact me. It might be a good 500. And I guarantee you cannot find one attorney who's helped more than 10 dads get full custody. There's 300 might not sound like that big of a deal. You know, since I've been doing this 25 years, but the vast majority of guys don't even try for full custody. So I never sat down and did the data. I don't have time to, I don't have a staff to analyze and do all the, and buy these programs and stuff. I just, at one point I'm like, man, there's so many guys getting custody. Let me go back and look, and I counted it up, you know, and I got to like 40 or 50, and then okay, let me just keep track. So I just kept track as I learned stuff. But there's, like I said, there's a bunch of guys out there who never told me, and it took years to tell me. There might be guys now getting custody, and they're not going to tell me for another 10 years. I mean, what you would think, like if you got custody of your kids, it'd be nice to have somebody give a donation and stuff. I think I got 2 or 3 donations in the past decade, which I appreciate, and I don't ask for. There's a donate button on my flow page. I guess I could be shameful and get up there and say contribute, or you know, Dad Talk Today, that guy who's a total bitch, I forget what his name is, Carlos, or Dad Talk Today. The first thing you see on his page is how to donate and give to him. If you just go to Dad Talk Today, go to his website. I reached out to him and said, dude, you have all these negative stories about dads losing and dads getting screwed, and all that stuff is true, but why don't you have like some winners on your page to give them some kind of hope instead of keeping them in doom and gloom? He blocked me just because I asked that question. He doesn't want dads to have hope. Or else he doesn't make a bunch of money, just like the lawyers. They want you to lose in court, and they want you to be fighting each other and not getting along, or else they don't make money. Okay, KT the King. Let's see how many. Dang, we got a lot. Not too much. Oh, it's all KT. Okay, so this dude always gives me good thoughts and stuff and ideas. Okay, in California, the mother gets the order from family court, then signs up for services from the child support agency. DCS files notice of payment to allow them to directly receive instead of mom. Notice of motion of their venue to modify the court orders that come from the family court. I would never go to DCS after family court rules. I would never go to Division of Child Support to have a modification. Now, I've had guys who defend it. One of my best friends, I hooked him up and helped him out, and he was really grateful, and he paid me more than what I normally ask for. But the mom was trying to get daycare because her parents are watching the kid, and he didn't. And it's only because when he did a parenting plan and they settled, I looked over the parenting plan. I said, you want to have agreed work-related daycare and have joint decision-making. The joint decision-making section of the parenting plans in Washington just say healthcare and school. It used to say healthcare, school, and religion, and it gives you the option to add and stuff like extracurricular. I always say put in extracurricular activities, put in gender decision. Now that they're trying to coach the kids into doing stuff behind the parents' back, and always daycare. And he had joint decision making on daycare. She never ran it by him. She said that he said it was okay. He said, I never said it's okay. She can't prove it. And she had a little receipt book for her parents. So she just lied and made that up as trying to extort him. And he totally demolished her in the Division of Child Support hearing on it. She was trying to get collection on him. But I never would go there. I'd always deal with it in family court, because Division of Child Support, you have one administrative hearing, and then that's it. And then you might be able to reconsider, and you can appeal back to the courts from that. So you might as well just start with the courts where you can do discovery. You got more time. You got more control. You walk into court in person instead of having a hearing over the phone with a total stranger you can't see. There's way more power in court. But anyway, as a means to adopt orders they can enforce family. But if that's the way they do it in California, like it's a mandatory process, I'd be objecting to that left and right. The mother signing up for GCSS services does not give Department of Child Support Services legal authority to modify judicial court orders that came from the family court. I forgot if they... I mean, they try and do that, and they try and cram that down people's throats, but you got the right argument. That should be a separation of powers doctrine violation, because, well, It's probably not even allowed under the law, but if you go, if DCS gets on board and they modify because of the administrative rules and you don't object, then it happens, but you got to object to that stuff. It's in the so you're talking about the separation of powers stuff. Executive branch needs to do executive branch stuff, and judicial branch needs to do judicial branch stuff. The child support IG guys never address the other way. Department Division of Child. It's usually DCS, so I'll just say that for short. Division of Child Support, the administrative hearings. DCS, they only talk about the administrative process. That has to be separation of powers violation. Now, they're right to a point where they object to their jurisdiction because they're not a real court. But then they leave it at that. I've never seen any of those guys explain stuff to people in videos because they want you to buy their stuff. I give away a whole bunch of secrets. I give away so much stuff that if you picked apart and looked at all my videos and did all your research on all of them, you could formulate a case from beginning to end. But then again, it takes 10 times longer than to figure that stuff out, and then it takes 10 times longer to do it and figure out what, if you're going to do it totally on your own. Some people do it. They got all the time in the world because they go to work and they obsess over their case 24/7 after they're at work. But it's way more expeditious or expedited if you get a consult with me and we talk about do this, do that, here, over there, here's your sources, instead of trying to figure it out in 1,200 videos on my YouTube. But you can do it. And I always give people the free option along with my help. I'm not just trying to hustle people. Oh, get my services, get my stuff, get this and that. But it's just a lot easier if you do. If you're defending against a restraining order, you get my defense against restraining order packet, and you get a consult with me. We could talk about specific instances of your case. You might blow this other side out the water. Some people just get my packet and they still win. Some people just get a consult, don't get my packet. It's like, if you get all the weapons available, you have the best chance of winning. If you have more weapons, if you're a football team that has a run game and a pass game, and the quarterback can run, you have all those weapons, you have a better chance of winning on the field. If you're in a war and you got your bazooka, your pistol, a rifle, bayonet, a knife, grenades, whatever else you guys have, and all the protection gear you can get, you're better off than if you just walk out with a pistol out on the battlefield, California and other states use the other child support process to get states paid the federal incentives, federal child support. Yeah, so the Title 4D bonus money, and there's probably more bonus money. There's rumors and articles like Florida gave $7 on the dollar. You get a child support order of $1,000 a month. The federal government, Title 4D, sends $1,000 to that state, and they keep doing it over and over. Not for every time it's paid, but each order that's drafted. In Washington, they have secret meetings. Let's say they got $500 million in the slush fund. The judges, Division of Child Support, CPS, DSHS, all these executive branch entities and judicial branch, they say, okay, give us a piece of the pie. And the judges say, well, we're the ones who got you the orders. Give us 50%. You guys can split the other 50%. They have secret meetings for that. I don't know if that's like that in every state, but something like that goes down. Even the court clerks say the Department of Child Support Services is separate from the court. Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes without saying. They rent a room at the court to pass the appearance that they are, so that they're a collection agency that contracts with the court on collecting something. If you sue somebody in small claims court or regular court and you win $25,000, you have to go collect it. The court entered a judgment for malpractice of a doctor, or your neighbor's tree fell and damaged your windows and your roof and gutters, and it cost you $20,000 to fix all that. And you've been warning them to trim down or cut down their tree, and their tree damaged you. Okay, $20,000 worth of damage. You get a judgment of $20,000. It's up to you to collect it. So you'll go to the collection agency, or you could do a garnishment thing and go do it yourself and get 100% of it back through the garnishment thing. If they don't work, if they work under the table, you can't do that. So child support was so hyped up about deadbeat dads and not doing their thing, and kids need this and that they created Division of Child Support's collection agency function. I don't know which came first, the administrative hearings to create child support orders or the collection thing. It's probably the collection thing. And they said, well, let's just make child support orders here. And we're all networking, tied in the same system as the welfare system and the food stamps and SNAP and all this other stuff. We're all part of the same thing. So all you got to do is call up Division of Child Support. Hey, my baby's dad is a deadbeat. I haven't got child support since the kid was born. The kid's 7 now, and he's living at the house. Next thing you know, your stuff gets garnished because they just believed a woman over a phone call. That's not due process. That's why I stay away from that stuff. I tell people to go to court, go for full custody. That's the first best way to not have child support. And people don't want to listen to me, and they do, Anyway, let's keep reading. KT the King, 81. The child support venue hearing in California, the commissioner is never a judicial officer. It's a judge pro tem commissioner who has an attorney hired by the court. Yeah, so pro tem, P-R-O-T-M, pro tempore, basically a substitute judge or commissioner. Now, a lot of places you can object to a pro tem, especially a pro tem judge for trial. You have a right to have a real judge. You can just give it a try. Say, I'd like to, with all due respect, Your Honor, I'd like to object to you proceeding over this. You're a pro tem. I'd rather get a regular full-time commissioner or judge. If you see them railroading all the dads coming up to the podium or whatever, you can always try that. There was a pro tem named David Contos. I did a video on him. On my YouTube channel, there's a playlist that talks about corrupt attorneys and judges. There's a guy named David Contos in Kent, Washington. K-E-N-T. Kent, Washington. David Contos. K-O-N-T-O-S. I did a video on him, and he supposedly got trouble in having sex at the courthouse, so he got kicked off the pro tem rotation. He was an attorney who substituted as the family law commissioner. He got kicked off. About 8 years later, he's back on because everybody forgot about it, swept it under the rug. I also know that David Contos was sleeping with a woman for legal services. That goes on all the time. Even the lead attorney, the black dude with the big pretty smile, bald head, clean-shaven face, always in a suit and tie, the lead attorney in Atlanta, Georgia, he did a video, and he was like, I had paralegals doing all kinds of stuff, doing my dry cleaner, give me Chick-fil-A, and he's like, some paralegals were stuck in my dick. That wasn't funny at all. He thought it was cute. And, they're adults. They could do whatever they want, but the high ethical standard of attorneys that they're supposed to follow, and they're doing something like that with somebody they pay and that's a subordinate. That guy has some great videos analyzing stuff, like interactions with the police, some crazy baby mama stuff, but some stuff he says is insane. But I did a video on David Contos. You guys may want to go watch it, but that's kind of for entertainment purposes. I need to email it to him. I was hoping to get a lot more views before I emailed it to him. So he was at the courthouse. This pretty lady was like, help me, help me. He said, what do you need? Next thing you know, she's staying the night at his house. And I worked with the guy that's facing her. He now has custody of his daughter. Because the daughter was suicidal a couple times because that bitch was crazy. That chick that David Contos helped get custody. And he was sleeping with her. He eventually gave her a job as a receptionist. She drove all the women at the law office out. Total demonic Jezebel. And recently a guy called me up and said she was a sex buddy of his. And he was older, desperate, and thirsty. And a dumbass. She falsely accused him of grape, and so he had a criminal grape case. Or no, he was dealing with the protection order. I don't know the status of a criminal case. Oh, they dropped it, but she still went for a protection order. So he's defending against that, and he wanted free services. I was like, no, dude. You do stuff like that, and you're going to walk around and do that, and then you want somebody to help you bail you out for free. Like, there's something wrong with you. But I talked to him for a minute and gave him some resources. And he's like, oh, can I call you back and follow up and tell you what happened? No. Like, the people with the welfare bitch mentality, they just never stop. You know, there's women, lady friends or people I dated that borrow money here and there, and they would never stop if I didn't put my foot down and say, that's enough. You had your period of time of an emergency or whatever. It's just crazy how ungrateful mother effers, they keep coming back for more. And some people, there's some people I've helped out in life. They got to a point where they never even said thank you. They just expected it. What was I talking about? Oh, David Contos. Then I also show you guys my opposing attorney, how he abused his women clients and lost cases on purpose. And I show you proof that he would lose cases on purpose. And then he'd get them to live with him because they were broke. And then they get them to do free legal secretary work. So he set them up for free slave labor. He made them lose so they were desperate so he can control them and get them to live with him and do free slave labor. He called an Asian attorney a lying C word, the racial slur for Asian. And the bar didn't care. They did reprimand him, but they did it privately. He should have been suspended. But that attorney was so afraid of this guy, she didn't even file a bar complaint. I did on her behalf. Think about what a pussy you are. You're an attorney and you don't snitch on somebody using a racial slur. And somebody like me has to come along and do the bar complaint. And the bar investigated and found out it was true and gave him a private reprimand. Should have exposed him, but anyway, I show you guys all that stuff in the video. But David Contos would come into the office and not study and prepare for a case. And so I knew two of the legal secretaries that worked for him. I worked with them later when I was a legal assistant at McKinley Irvin. One of them told me, overheard me talking about my client who faced David Contos. And she said, hey, we got to go to lunch. And she told me, yeah, David Contos would come to the office, not know a case. And one time she wrote up some paperwork. I'm going to get to my main point about these pro tem commissioners. She wrote up some paperwork and she put like 10 errors in it on purpose. She gave it to David Contos, the attorney in Kent, Washington. She gave it to David Contos and said, here you go, just for your review. And he said, oh, it's perfect. After he, 20 minutes later. And she goes, you didn't even read it. I put 10 errors in there. You didn't even notice it. So he would not even read the paperwork. He would just walk in and just blah, blah, blah and make his money. And so those people kind of snitched on him to me. So I put that in the video also. But the lady he was sleeping with, that he was doing free services for, he gave her a job, he put her through school, and got her a car. And one time I had a guy serving paperwork to David Contos' office, another client. And she had flirted with the guy, and she said, I'm kind of tied up with this guy. After I run through him, though, I'm available. Anyway. So that's your pro tem commissioner. A corrupt piece of shit like that. Gets a job at the courthouse. Has sex at the courthouse, gets suspended from being a pro tem commissioner, gets right back on it. KT also says that means they know that an actual judge cannot participate in a DCS proceeding because they know they violated the separation of powers doctrine. California DCS disregards case law, Holmberg versus Holmberg, and Schubert versus Montana regarding violation of separated powers. It'd be nice if everybody down there learned that stuff. You may want to go to the courthouse and just go to Vistaprint and make a placard and put it up there. Fighting child support, call my number and share that with them, or share a video online and educate people yourself with it. I mean, you're really knowledgeable about this stuff. Tell everybody to make those objections. This other child support process needs to be addressed. Millions. Well, there might be a thing where the administrative law judges might be coming down if they dig in and get the corrupt. You know, the family court system, it's not changing, or everybody wants to abolish it and all this other stuff. I just saw a video I reposted on Facebook. This lady saying the family court needs to be abolished. It needs to come down. We need to go to mediators and arbitrators and have 50-50 presumptions, blah, blah. The mediators and arbitrators are just going to do the same thing. People are bullied at arbitration and mediation all the time. That's what I'm telling, you know, that's another example of some stupid airheaded bitch just saying whatever she feels and thinking that's going to fix the system. So all the corrupt lawyers are going to become mediators and arbitrators, and what's going to happen there? That's like saying, okay, we got to get rid of the mafia families, and we got to let just the mafia members run businesses separately. Like, you can't have more than 2 CEOs or CFOs at a business. It's still the mafia. If you spread them out and put them elsewhere, it doesn't matter. They're corrupt and evil. Anyway, 99% of the people out there don't know what the F they're talking about with this stuff. The other child support need. Okay, this is another unconstitutional method by division of child support causing harm for people so they can make money on broken families. Yep. A lot of times, you know, a mother goes to division of child support, gets a court order that says, okay, the mother's got custody, so she should have child support of this amount, and the dads think that's a custody order. Stupid, dumb mother effers that can't read. It didn't say the mother is ordered to have custody. It says the mother has been acting like the custodian because the father's a bitch and lets her have custody of the kid and never keeps the kid. So we deem her the custodian. As a result, she gets child support. Instead of you just take the kid whenever you want and there's a conflict, well, let's go to family court and resolve it. Then you don't have to deal with division of child support. You deal with the child support in family court. Anyway, I'm starting to get tired. Hopefully people got something out of that. I need to do a video about the daycare. Don't agree to an order to garnish daycare because it changes. Maybe I'll do that real quick in a short. Anyway, thanks for coming on. Thanks for your questions. Those of you guys that are still in the fight, keep up the good fight. Oh, let me see. KT's got one more point here. Oh, California has court-ordered mediation for child custody. They will order parents to see a court mediator to attempt to settle. If they don't, the court will make orders. Yeah, I've talked about mediation a bunch of times. It's a scam. In California, they have the mediators report on how mediation went. That's inadmissible under the evidence rules. People should be objecting to that. Nobody ever objects to that. If no agreement is reached, mediation that is held at the court with a court LCSW, licensed social worker, whatever. That's insane too. But guys got to stand their ground. Everybody just follows the process. Oh, the court system is corrupt. I went to the court system and I just followed the corrupt everybody, and I'm just following along and just playing along and did what they told me to do. Sheep. We got to stop being sheep. Okay, I'm going to jump off here, guys. Keep hanging in there. And if you need some help, call me, get a consult. Watch my videos. Check out my store. Check out my free resources at least. And keep up the good fight.